Yeah, I jokingly say that I'm a horrible friend. You can ask one of the four people I consider close friends, and then that's five because my girl, she know pretty much everything about me. But I'm a horrible friend if you're basing it on social media standards. I'm not about to fake with you. I'm not going to justify bad behaviors. I'm not going to enable you. If you know me, you should be able to talk to me about goals, you know, setting aside because you think if you tell me about some endeavor that you're thinking about pursuing to better your situation, you don't want to tell me that because you think I'm gonna talk you out of it. We got people like that around us, and I'm just not that. Yeah, I'll call you out. Not not over social media. I don't do that. I think people do that by design. Getting those comments, say some crazy stuff. But as your friend, I'm not gonna do that because that'll open the door for other people to believe that they can do it. I don't rock like that. But like behind the scenes and privately, yeah, we be cracking jokes. Yeah, I'm kind of selfish in that way. Like if I'm doing something and if we cool, I want us to be able to, all of us be doing it. I like to be able to discuss things like that. You know what I mean? And it just sets you up for a situation to where you ain't just got to be talking about what ifs and what I should have did and worrying about celebrities. And I can't even tell you what's going on in celebrity gossip world or sports stats. Not to say that that's not a good downtime because life is so tough. Of those four, three of them are federal employees. So we all in the crap right now. We just kind of figuring it out. But those discussions, you got to be able to talk about hypotheticals. Man, what if this don't work out? What you got planned? And when that stuff happens, me being a federal employee, everything's been in limbo for a while. I want to be able to throw out an idea and not have to worry about you knocking it out of the park against that because you don't think it was something you would be able to do, so I shouldn't either. If that makes sense. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that happens. And what's unfortunate is that it's normal. That's why you'll never see me shading somebody if they're trying to better themselves in any way. If we cool like that behind the scenes, I'm gonna be like, yo, that's dumb. Take that down. Take that post down, man. Like, I know you're not eating like that, man, so why are you yapping about it? Because I don't believe that there should just be spaces and time to where you should do better. New Year's, you make the announcement. You try to resolve every day, you'll be fine. And I think that's the only way I can do it. Because one, life is so, uncertain. There's a lot of unforeseen stuff that happens. And two, I think statistically, I wasn't supposed to have any of what I have. If we just going off of stats. And I think that's why those friendships are so valuable because none of us came from much. We all kind of came from those situations to where you had to step out of your element in order to win. And the only way you can do that when times get tough is to have a good support, like a supportive circle around you. I guess it's cool now to try to shade people, but the people that do it, they try to mask it like, man, I'm just playing. Don't take it that seriously. Goals are serious, especially like my health. So when people try to get on me, man, you be wearing them small shirts, da da da. 10 times out of 10 is because they can't get in the shape they want. Because you'll see them doing a whole separate video on trying to get there. But they got to do that to make themselves feel better until they get there. Then they be like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'll still be like, yeah, but I'll remember the shade. But if you know me, man, I'm gonna share the information no matter what. The delivery might be different. Like if we had a little bit of a tiff or something like that, I'm gonna give you the information and get on with my day. But I always believe you should share, put people on. And plus for me, I can clear my plate from it. You want to see other people do better, no matter what your history is. That's a gift and a curse for me. I'll stop what I'm doing. Well, I don't stop what I'm doing. Like if somebody, 3 people this morning have asked me something about like fitness. Well, 2 about fitness, 1 about school, other resources, because he used a TA and he's like, man, what's going on? So I just gave him some other resources, but in between my workouts or I've probably talked to people while I'm running the stairs and I'll apologize. You know, hey, disregard the typos, I'm on the stairs. But I believe in putting people on. You got some people that don't, man. They just want to be that one to have all the info. Not me. Of those 4, 2 of them got doctorate degrees. 1 put me on, and then I put the other one on. Cat that used to work with me at San Diego State. Because I think that's how it's supposed to be, man. There's enough chaos going on out here, bro. We all kind of facing some type of struggle. And I remember it like it was yesterday. When my boy was like, hey, man, he was working at San Diego State. And he already had his MBA. I'm thinking about going back and getting the second master's. And I said, why? And he kind of looked at me like, man, how you gonna say that? You got 3. My situation was different. He still had like 2+ years of post 9/11. Mine was different to where I used GI Bill 30, Chapter 30 and 33 to get 2 masters, but it's because I had a little bit remaining on Chapter 30, the regular one. And then I had 1 year Chapter 33, which is, I was able to get a master's in 1 year. The 3rd master's is because I worked at the university. That was an incentive. My situation was different. If I had those years to probably get the doctorate, I might only have 1 master's. And when people are like, this is a lot of wasted money. Man, if I can get one of them back and I can get the money for that, I will get something for in here. But he was like, you know, what you mean? Why? I said, bro, get the doctorate. And you know, when you tell somebody something that might seem overwhelming, they look at you like, what you talking about, man? You saying it like it's casual. But I was going through my program at that point, bro. Once I finish, I'm gonna give you everything that I have. From start to finish, we gonna rock it. And I think it goes back to, you know, how I came up. Grew up in Compton. So preschool, kindergarten through 5th grade, George Washington Elementary School, Compton, Long Beach, Franklin Middle School in Long Beach. And then I ended up going to Wilson in Long Beach, but we were living in like South Central. And then, you know, Compton, 132nd and Central. Just growing up in those areas, you are a statistic. And you see it on the movies, man. You see movies like Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood and stuff like that. They get that from somewhere. And I always say, jokingly, it was more about the color that you wore versus the color that you were. Not to say that the latter isn't very unfortunate, but it was, man. You got cats that was ready to get at you for wearing a certain color, depending on, you know, where you were. Heck, I made it in the Navy by the hair on my chinny chin chin. Barely scored high enough. So once I kind of got my crap together, I owed it to myself to maximize the situation. That wasn't my mindset early on, man. But like even the education, I don't know what people think. Like when people be like, must be nice and you lucky. I'm trying to tell you, even though I had got to a point in my job and I was in a leadership position, I was still doing that stuff on deployment. There's a lot going on. Just away from my family in order to be able to continue on and get all that education. When I was I was an E6, walking around with 3 associates, 2 bachelors, 2 masters. And I still was in a leadership position. I was responsible for other people. Ain't no luck in there, man. It's just when you want something bad enough, you're gonna find the time to do it. You're gonna find a way to do it. And in today's climate, that message is only more received well if it's like New Year's, like I say, or you're not a notable person. Because if you're doing it and people know you and y'all came from like the same background, same situation, and you started like leveling up and they didn't, it gets weird. We talk about it all the time, man. Every Veteran Day, every time something happened. I was in Afghanistan for almost 13 months, man. And I was in a combat zone. And no, I'm not coming on here talking like I was some war fighter. I peed on myself a couple of times, maybe 3. I didn't boo-boo though, so shout out to that. But I'm just saying, like, I was scared and out of my element. But the fact that I was able to kind of tap back into my health, which was on me, I put myself in a situation to where I was unhealthy enough to have a kidney stone. The fact that I was able to follow through, like I'm talking, we would go for a trip in the morning, come back, I would go work out. I would run in the morning, depending on what we had going on. And I'm trying to find the old eval, man, because I had an eval that showed that we contributed to, finding like $11 million worth of stuff. Like my job was supplies. So issuing out Humvees and 240 weapons, that wasn't my job on the ship. My job on the ship is I used to cut hair and wash underwear. No disrespect, people that work that job, it's more than that. It is, but I'm telling the story right now. Yeah, man, being able to just change my life or sustain certain things in my life has been very important to me. And like I said, that has nothing to do with what's going on. Life is going to be tough. It's up to me every day to try to put myself in a better mindset. That's why I can't be around a bunch of people that just be complaining, dude. It don't mean that I think I'm better than anybody. It's just that, like, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm going through stuff too. I still got a family to make sure I provide for. So I'm supposed to take on what you're telling me. And if I don't receive it the way you want, I think I'm all that. I got people around me that feel like that. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. Best thing I ever did was I put that daggone sauce down, man. That was a game changer. But because it's a social norm, like it's this weird thing that happens with adults on social media now. Like when you decide not to do something or start doing something, if somebody don't agree with that, then they want to get at you about it, or there has to be something that they have to say in order to make themselves feel better. When I say I stopped drinking, it's because it was very important that I had to stop drinking. I was ruining my life. I don't judge anybody else from drinking, but if you saying, man, hey, I'm trying to get in better shape, I can't such and such, and if I know you and I know that you're a drinker, yes, I'm going to suggest maybe put that sauce down, yo. But people get so wrapped up in just, I don't know, I think it'd be guilt. I don't know what it'd be. It'd be something. Like you never used to drink. You must not be paying attention to these videos. You will get one reminder of drunk fat Mike once a week, at least. You just got to be willing to try to figure it out, man. Especially like during a tough time. We all gonna get them. And then the people that we idolize the most notable ones, they still get them. We see a lot of these rich athletes and celebrities fall on hard times because that's how it works. That's the power of the mind. And then we think, well, if I had access to that money and time, which we only get 24 hours, we would do better. But if your mindset is off, you're going to be where you are. And a lot of people don't like hearing that. I think we all got discipline. And that's not what people want to hear, man. We all got it. That's you like a sociopath. You just out here on some weird stuff. But it's your behavior, your actions towards that intended goal. You're going to do it no matter what. But because goals are in the productive go-getting category, some people's goals are different. My goal used to be, I'm gonna get up and run these streets, find where the girl's at, and get drunk. That was the goal. But now, how it is, there's a divide. Goals have to be like better health, career progression, finances, fix your finance. And then that other stuff is considered balance. You got to do that other stuff that's tearing your life apart in order to have balance and be more acceptable around people. You got to have fun. People always ask me, what do you do for fun? I work out. Well, there's more to life than working out. I see it different. I got one of these. So yeah, people will be on that stuff, man. But if your goals are your goals that are good, it's your self-control that's pointing it. It's your self-control. And me, I know I ain't about to be eating certain things. I'm just not gonna do it. So and depending on who you talk to, this is why I don't really be around folks. It's a lose-lose no matter what. Like me now, right? About 193. I'm focusing just more on sustaining and body fat. I want to be lean at my age, year-round lean. And depending on who you're around, man, if you get under 200 pounds, they call that victim weight. And if I'm under 200 pounds, 10% body fat, I know I'm less. I'm running the numbers now. If I run them on Thursday, Friday morning, I think I'll be about 8 or 9. No lie, right? People call it victim weight. If I was 25% body fat, I would be over 200 pounds. That's just me. I know me. I know my science. But if you over 200 pounds and you 10% body fat, they're gonna say you're on steroids or something. You can't win with a lot of these people. So that's why you gotta remove yourself. I share everything that I'm doing. And I know folks don't eat like me or get in the protein that I get in or do the cardio or do the circuits. So it's easy for me to ignore, but you gotta pay attention to that, man. It's weird. A lot of people don't want you to do better. They just haven't acknowledged that they're projecting it like that. They think they're hiding it. They're not.